Father's last message. Why are you giving this to me only now? The moment those words slipped out of my mouth, my own voice sounded unfamiliar, shaken, broken. But there was a shocking reason why this situation had come to be. Before I go deeper into the story, to those of you listening, please tell me where you live, how old you are, and what you're doing right now in the comments. Because maybe this story might intersect with a chapter of your own life. It was a rainy Friday night in Seoul. I had worked overtime until nearly 10 p.m. when I finally returned home, exhausted and wet from the downpour. I noticed a small envelope on the floor beneath my door. Sender ICU hospital. Recipient to the patient's son. My fingertips froze. My father had collapsed a week ago, but I hadn't visited not once. I had told myself I was busy, but the truth was simpler. I hated the man. Growing up, he was all harsh words, alcohol, silence, disappearance. He once vanished for an entire month when I was in middle school. At my wedding, he left an envelope of cash and slipped away. Before the ceremony even ended, he had never been a father to me. But the envelope wasn't from him. It said, "Delivered on behalf of the patient." Inside the envelope was a single USB stick and a short note from the doctor. "This is the final video the patient left for you." My chest tightened. My breath grew shallow. I plugged the USB into my laptop and waited for the screen to light up. When it did, my body went stiff. A dim hospital room, the sound of a ventilator, and my father, frail, gasping, looking straight into the camera. Can you hear me?" I had never seen that face on him. Not once. And I realized, this wasn't a video of farewell. My father was finally ready to tell me a truth he had hidden all his life. He struggled to speak. His lips cracked, his voice barely a whisper. "You hate me. I know why." I froze. He had never once acknowledged my feelings before. "It's all my fault. But you don't know the real reason." He took several breaths, each one shaking. "Do you remember that day when you were in middle school and I left the house without saying a word?" My hands trembled. That day was my biggest scar. The day I decided he was no father to me. But his next words shattered everything I believed. "That day, I thought you were asleep. I went out to take your mother to the hospital." My heart stopped. "To the hospital?" He nodded weakly. "She collapsed. Suddenly, she was dying." I felt heat rush to my eyes. He continued in a faint murmur. "Your mother held my hand and said, 'Don't tell our son. He'll blame himself.'" I covered my mouth. He hadn't left us. He had tried to save her. And he failed. Alone. After a long silence, he whispered, "There's a letter. Your mother wrote it. For you." He lifted his trembling hand toward a bedside drawer. "In the white envelope. That's what you need to see." His breath grew uneven. Then, with what little strength he had left, "I'm sorry. And I loved you." The screen went black. I could not move. I could not breathe. The man I hated for decades had carried a truth I never knew. A truth he had buried inside him until he had no time left. And the letter, the white envelope, it wasn't anywhere in my house. Which meant he had kept it until his final days, because he needed to give it to me himself. The next morning, I went straight to the hospital. He was barely conscious, but when I entered the room, he slowly turned his head, as if he had been waiting. I saw the video. I whispered. His eyelids fluttered. I reached out and wrapped my hand around his. Then he pointed weakly toward a small white envelope lying beside a cup of water. I picked it up with trembling hands. Inside were 2 letters, one from my mother, one from him. I opened my mother's first. Her handwriting was messy, but every curve of every letter felt like her voice. "My son, if you are reading this, I may no longer be beside you." Tears hit the paper. "Your father may not know how to show love, but he has always cared for you." I stopped. My breath hitched. "The day you won your school award, he secretly bought you 2 pairs of shoes, because he couldn't decide which one you'd like more. He laughed all night while choosing." I pressed the letter to my chest. My mother had been trying to pass on the love my father didn't know how to express. I opened his letter next. The handwriting was shaky, uneven. I should have done better. But I ran away from everything. Especially from you. My jaw clenched. I wanted to tell you how proud I was, but I didn't know how to speak. My hand trembled. If you read this, please, let go of the hate you carry. Don't live like I did. And the final line, I loved you, truly. I squeezed his hand. His skin was cold, but he tried to grip back. For the first time in my life, I called him something I had never said before. Dad. His condition worsened. I visited every day after work. One evening, as he drifted in and out of sleep, he mumbled, I want to see your mother. I held his hand tightly. While he slept, I opened the letters again. Inside my mother's envelope was a small folded photo. A young mother, a young father, a baby me, in my father's arms. They looked happy, radiant, and for the first time, I realized he wasn't always broken. He became broken because he lost her. Several days later, he was rushed back to the ICU. Prepare for the worst, the doctor said. I stood by his bedside. He opened his eyes one last time and whispered, Live, my son, live, be happy. His hand went limp in mine. My chest tore open. I bowed my head and let myself grieve for the man I loved too late. The funeral ended. The rain had returned, soft, steady. I placed both letters on my desk at home. Live, and be happy. His last words. For decades, he hadn't been able to say them. But now, they echoed loudly in my mind. I folded the letters carefully and placed them in a small box. Then I framed the photo, the one from my mother's envelope, and set it beside the box. I lit a small candle and whispered, Dad, I understand now. I'll try. I'll live a life that would make you both proud. Outside, thunder rumbled. The rain washed the city clean. And inside me, for the first time in years, the weight I had carried slowly began to fade. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe.